All right. Welcome, everybody. Fantastic to have you all with us this evening over on YouTube. And we are actually live on Twitch at the same time, for those of you who do prefer the stream over there. We've obviously just made the move over from TikTok over to YouTube. Just from a layout perspective, it's just a little bit easier running through the predictions on the screen. A little bit bigger, a little bit easier for you guys to see and for myself to navigate around. So let's get stuck in. So what we're going to do is we're just going to do a couple of streams a week, where we just do these quick fire just for the evening, for the next day. Just run through a couple of games, run through a few of your guys' requests every single day, Monday through to Thursday, we're hoping. And then obviously Friday we'll have a bit of a longer stream. Right, so I think where we can get started tonight is over on some of the Champions League games. Let's have a quick deep dive into the Chelsea versus Real Madrid game first. So I'm sure most of you did see the video earlier today on the Chelsea and Real Madrid game, but let's do a little bit of a deeper dive into it. It can take a little bit more time over on the live stream. So for those of you who are new around here, welcome. Everything that we do over here is perfectly available on the Predict Heroes app. It is predict-heroes.com, and everything that we're doing over here is completely free for you guys to join in. Alright, so if this layout is new to you guys, I'm sure most of you do use the app on your phones, but this is the web-based layout, nice and user-friendly. So let's dive into this one. Alright, so the Chelsea-Real Madrid game is kicking off this evening at 9 p.m. And in terms of the match outcomes, we do have a 27% chance of a Chelsea win. And we are favouring a Real Madrid win, coming in at 48%. Right, diving into the actual scorelines over here, we do have a 1-1 as most likely, followed by a 1-0 in favour of Real, followed by a 2-1. Now, obviously, with this being the first leg, you can probably assume that there will be a little bit of tentativeness between the guys, between the two teams, but I think this is going to be an absolute banger of a game, and I'm really, really looking forward to it. It's kicking off in just under 50 minutes. All of my time zones are straight out of South Africa, so GMT +2, it is 8 in the evening over on my side. Right, so in terms of the outcomes over here, we do have a 74% chance of over 1.5 goals, which we can see reflected in the actual score lines of what we are expecting over there. And if we just have a quick look over the average goals from each team. So Chelsea score on average at home 1.93 goals a game. It is 0.36 higher than the average of the Champions League. So basically the average home goals of the Champions League is 1.57. Alright, and in terms of conceding, they are very, very solid defensively, as we know. 0.83, yes, I know that they got walloped over the weekend, but it's football. Anything can happen on the night, on the day. Early red cards, penalties, anything can happen on the day. And conceding only on average 0.83, very, very strong defensively at home. Alright, and in terms of the away team, Real score on average 1.83 goals a game, which is 0.26 higher than the average away goals scored for the Champions League. And their defensive record away from home is phenomenal, 0.72 goals a game conceded. And taking all of this into account, you do have two very, very, I mean, we all know these teams, very, very good, great threats up front, but defensively, they are unbelievable as well, looking at the stats over here. And we are expecting very low goal outcomes in this game. However, this is club football, cup football, anything can happen in the cup. I cannot stress that enough. Me personally, I avoid cup football and international football because usually lineups differ, especially in domestic cups. Lineups differ. The games are so few and far between. So the last time Chelsea would have played, maybe they were on a really good run of results. and that obviously affects this. And then maybe 3-4 weeks later they're really just down and out, down with injuries. All of these things need to be taken into account when you guys are reading, statistically having a look at what potential outcomes you guys want to go for when it comes to club football. Right, and then if we just have a quick look at the attacking rank metrics, we can see that there is slight favour in the corners market for Chelsea. So basically, that is Chelsea receiving more corners compared to Real Madrid, on average for Real being away from home. However, Real are more prolific in front of goals in terms of shots on targets to the shot ratio. But as you can see, these are almost overlaying on top of each other, so there's not really great value in terms of handicapping on any of these. And if we glance over to the home and away defensive rank metrics, we can see that there is a slight favour of Real Madrid receiving more cards in a game. Now, if Pepe was still playing at Real, this line would probably be all the way down here, but he's not. They're a little bit more disciplined these days. However, if Chelsea do start getting under their skin and they do get early cards, there is a potential for an in-play on getting Real Madrid receiving more cards in this game. So keep an eye out on it. In-plays are always fantastic to do. So just keep an eye out on that, potentially in the corner side and in the cards market. However, in terms of the match outcomes, in terms of both teams to score, etc., I personally can't see too much value in any of those. Right, so that's a cool one to have a look at. It's going to be a fantastic game to watch. I'm definitely going to sit back and enjoy that game. Take a little bit of a night off from work and just enjoy. Right, then we go over across the river, all the way from the UK over to Spain. Please do excuse me. In terms of this game, we do have Villarreal versus Bayern München kicking off this evening, 9 p.m. So just in 45 minutes, we have this banger of a game as well. Right, so we are favouring Bayern for this game, as I'm sure everybody else is as well. Villarreal are a very good team, but let's be honest, Bayern should technically blow them out the water. But again, like I said just now, it's football. Anything can happen. So we do have a 65% chance in favour of Bayern, which is probably a little bit lower than most people would be expecting, because we do have quite a high 19% chance of a Villarreal win, and we'll have a look now why that exactly is. Looking at the goals, we are expecting an awful lot of goals in this game. A 4-2 is most likely, followed by a 3-2, followed by a 4-1, all in favour of Bayern. Okay. However, what I do like when I have a look at this at the web app, and I'm checking out here and I'm going through different games, as soon as I see each of the three score lines expecting both teams to score and expecting an over 2.5, I get really excited, because these are the games that really stand out to me as great value options. Right, if we do see here, we do have a 96% chance of over 2.5 goals and an 88% chance of both teams to score as yes. This is fantastic. These are the markets that I am sitting on with this game, for an over 2.5 and a both teams to score as yes. Right, now if we glance down at the stats, now like I said, we're expecting Bayern to blow Villarreal out the water. Right, however, Villarreal score on average at home in the Champions League 2.04 goals a game. Now if you compare that back to Chelsea on the previous one, Chelsea were at about 1.8. Right, however, Chelsea's defensive record was slightly better, where Villarreal concede just over 1 goal a game, meaning almost that most of the games with Villarreal at home end in a 2-1 in generic, straightforward terms. All right, which is very good. It bodes well for the over 2.5 side of things. Right, but then we go to Bayern. Bayern scoring 2.65 goals on average away from home. And if we take that, looking at Real Madrid's side of things, Real Madrid being so fantastic, but again, you can see Bayern's defensive record is that worse of the likes of Real Madrid comparatively. So what we're expecting here is we're expecting a far more open game compared to the Chelsea Real Madrid game. Whereas the Chelsea Real Madrid, I think that there's going to be a lot of cancels out going on in the pitch. I do feel like with this game, I think we're going to have a really great, nice open play. It's going to be tactically really, really good, and I think we are going to get a lot of goals in this game. So it's going to be a really nice one. I'm going to be chopping and changing between the two games. All right. And then let's have a quick look at the attacking rank metrics. Okay. If we do go ahead and have a look at the away team, we can see that the corners are dominated by Bayern. Bayern receiving an awful lot of corners in a game. This is a really nice option for this game as well. Right, so what we would be saying, receive more corners than the likes of Villarreal. And in terms of the defensive rank metrics, we can see Villarreal are a lot higher than Bayern Munich when it comes to cards. And the reason why this is because Bayern are so small on receiving cards, because generally they're usually the team on the attack, pushing the teams, drawing the fouls. It's the same as Man City. You would see the same type of metric happening with Man City, and we can see that Villarreal are definitely leaning towards receiving more cards in this game. So here's another two markets that you can have a look at. Corners in favor of Bayern receiving more, and cards in favor of Villarreal receiving more, and over 2.5, and at both teams to score as yet. Lots happening on this game, kicking off in 40 minutes. All right, this is fantastic. Okay, I just want to check if there's any other games really that we can maybe run through this evening. Like I said, it's just going to be a quick fire session that we're going to do daily, and we'll sort of iron out the details as we go through, see what's sort of working for us and what is not. I'm just sort of scanning through to see if there's any games kicking off. This game, actually, Burnley-Everton, very important game this. Let's have a look at it. I actually haven't done a video for this one tonight, so let's dive straight in. Right, so obviously we know what's happening with Everton at the moment, and this is a bottom of the table clash. Burnley are desperately wanting this win, and Everton are even more desperately wanting this win. I cannot even imagine the fallout that would happen if Everton had to go down at the end of the season, but they're really not in a good run of form at the moment, and if this continues tonight, I'm seriously worried about them. All right, I bet all the Liverpool fans, though, are probably celebrating every loss that they do get, so we'll see how that goes. But having a look here, we do have the Burnley versus Everton game, and this is split odds. As soon as you start seeing percentages like this on the web app, it means that there's split odds. And when I say split odds, there's no real clear winner that's going. Yes, there's a small favor of 4% in favor of Everton. However, when I talk about 4%, I'm talking about decimal places that go into this 0.002 or so in order to determine the variances that do happen in here. It's very small. So as we can see, this is leaning towards a draw, which Everton would probably take. Burnley won't, but Everton might just sit back and enjoy a draw, to be honest. Looking at the scorelines, we do predict a 0-0 as most likely, followed by a 1-0 in favour of Everton, and then very closely followed by a 1-0 in favour of Burnley. This is almost like one of those games where first scorer takes it all. It's expected to kind of be one of those games, except, like I always say, you need to take gut instinct into account over here. And what I mean by that is understand the nature of what this game is. This game right here is two teams that are fighting for survival. They have an opportunity to earn the so-called 6 points against each other over here. And it would be a really good game for both teams to win. So if you guys are feeling like, you know what, maybe the goal outcomes are a little bit lower, remember it's based off of historical stats and takes a lot of things into account. So maybe if you are feeling like, you know what, maybe there is a little bit of a better chance of an over 1.5. Maybe I would up that to like a 65% probability. Now, having a look at the goal outcomes here, we can see that Burnley score on average 0.8 goals at home, very low, and concede almost the average at home, 1.47 goals a game. We have Everton scoring only 0.97 goals away from home. I saw a stat earlier or yesterday or something that Everton have only won one game away from home this whole season. I'm not sure if it's accurate. I just saw somebody tweeted it out and I thought to myself, my goodness, that is horrific. And we can see these sorts of things reflecting in the stats, and we can see that they almost asymmetrical if you think about it. They got a slight higher on in terms of goals scored, but they also got a slight higher in terms of goals conceded. So these are just two teams in a real rut going at it at the moment. And who knows what will happen at the end of this. This game is exceptionally important to both teams, and it's kicking off now in the next 5 minutes. Right. In terms of the corners markets, we do have it overwhelmingly in favor of Burnley getting more corners. Now, just to give you an idea, these metrics over here basically mean that Everton have the least amount of corners earned in the entire league this season. Okay? Which is horrific. All right? Burnley are on fourth highest. All right? Now, how it basically works is that these ones go up, and we can see here that with regards to that, we do have Burnley receiving more corners in a game compared to Everton. But the fact that Everton are receiving either joint bottom or least amount of corners just shows you that their attacking threat is completely minimal. And not only that, they're probably playing far too much centrally because they're not getting the ball out wide. They're not getting the crosses in because the ball's not getting cleared out for corners. I think what's happening is that it's far too central, and any team who's going to play a narrow defensive line or even a three-back, Everton's never going to be able to break them down. You have to switch the ball in football. You need to move the ball out quickly to the wings. You need to open up that space in the center, and I can see clearly here that Everton are not doing that. Right, in terms of the cards market, we do have Everton receiving more cards than Burnley over here. Right, so those are another two options that you can have a look at for this game, because I can see here that there's not much value in here. But potentially going with Burnley receiving more corners, or otherwise Everton receiving more cards might be the two options for this game. All right, so I hope that that does help. Ayanda, no problem at all. Like I said to the guys, just a FYI, we're going to be doing this probably Monday through to Thursdays, just for half an hour, just a quick run through, and then we'll do our long stream on a Friday. But just a quick fire shout out, and just to get the YouTube channel going a little bit. But I far prefer this platform that we're currently using than the TikTok Live. TikTok Live was making it very difficult because we couldn't use any streaming software on here. Alright, I think we've got time for one more game to go through. I just want to see if there's any further games for this evening. Let's have a quick look. Okay, I just want to quickly check what looks like a good game. I also want to do one that I didn't do a video of earlier. So why don't we have a look at the Hankton. There were a couple of games out of Italy. I just want to check what time those games were kicking off. 7. Okay, alright, so those ones were a little bit earlier. So let's have a look. Let's use our last game for Nottingham Forest versus Coventry. Alright, so we do have this slightly in favour. This game is kicking off in the next 20 minutes, 8:45 South African time, GMT +2. Right, we do have 67% chance in favour of Nottingham Forest, followed by a 19% chance of a draw. Right, so ever so slightly in favour of Forest here. Okay, in terms of the goal outcomes, this is looking pretty decent. A 2-0 in favour of Forest, followed by a 2-1, followed by a 1-0. Alright, and in terms of the outcomes, we do have an 83% chance, which looks very nice, of over 1.5 goals. Alright, and if we do glance at the stats over here, we can see that on both the goals scored and the goals conceded, Forest are better than the league average, which generally means that they're a top half of the table team, whereas we've got Coventry over here, who are both below the league average in terms of goals scored and goals conceded, and therefore you've got one far stronger team coming up against a little bit of a weaker team away from home. Now remember, home ground advantage counts drastically over here. So we've got a home team that's really decent at home and an away team who's really bad away from home. Alright, however, we start having a look at the metrics over here, and this is where value could come into it. Right, we are seeing that Coventry City are a lot higher in terms of corners received and earned, and whereas in terms of the defensive side of things, we have Nottingham Forest receiving more cards. So this again paints a picture of a team that's playing very narrow in terms of Nottingham Forest over here, like we alluded to with Everton as well. And Coventry probably swing a lot more crosses in. According to the stats over here, not very good crosses, but they are earning a lot of corners. So you might find a really decent amount of value in terms of Coventry earning more corners than Nottingham Forest here, or otherwise Nottingham Forest receiving more cards than Coventry. Those are the two value bets that I would have a look at for this game over here. And the other option is obviously over 1.5 goals, 83%, but I doubt you're going to get really decent odds on that. But have a look and check it out. This game is, like I said, kicking off in the next 15 minutes. Alright guys, all I can say is thank you very much for joining us on our first YouTube Live. Please do me a favor, make sure you smash the like button. Make sure you have subscribed if you haven't. Turn on the bell notifications. Like I said, we're going live every single day, Monday through to Thursday, live on YouTube and on Twitch as well, depending on where you guys prefer watching the stream. We will be live.